Hey guys, 170 out here. Hope you are doing well. So this is the video I said I was going to record about controllers, but in usual style, and as happened last time, more news gets announced that is kind of linked to what I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to roll that into one. I'm going to try and not turn this into a Sony bashing video. However, Sony are making moves, doing things that are getting them a lot of criticism, and in my opinion, rightly so. So I'm just gonna. This video is really just gonna be me adding my 2 cents, really, on this whole Spider-Man exclusivity saga controversy that's kicked on. But let's start with controllers, because for me this is kind of the point of the video, really, what I wanted to start with, which was Sony and Microsoft's announcement regarding how backwards and forwards compatible their controllers are is literally just like, yeah, that sums up these two companies' strategies for the next for this upcoming generation. So a couple of days ago, actually no, not a couple of days ago, longer than that. Flipping heck, it was it's like over 2 weeks ago now. Wow, time is flying when you have no job and lockdown and COVID. PlayStation confirmed that the PS4 controller will work on the PS5, but only for PS4 games, and only games that are PS4 games that are backwards compatible for the PS5. Because before then, Sony confirmed that not all PS4 games are going to work on the PS5. In response to that, Microsoft came out with a tweet and went, "Yeah, our Xbox Series X, Xbox Series X, our official Xbox One controllers, the adaptive controller, the Elite wireless controller, and third-party Xbox One controllers and headsets are all going to work on the Series X. Oh, by the way, as an extra step, the Series X controller will also work on your Xbox One console. It's also going to work on Windows PCs. It's also going to work on Android, and it's going to work on Project xCloud and Game Pass." As I said, this completely just captures the two companies' vastly different strategies. Sony are really going, you want to play PS5 games, you have to have a PS5 controller. You want to play PS4 games, you have to stick with your PS4 and use your PS4 controller. Yeah, you will buy PS5 stuff if you want to play PS5 games. That's it. Microsoft are going, yeah, everything you've got's going to work with this. Oh, by the way, the Series X controller is going to work backwards as well. So if you find that you really like the Series X controller, you can use that with your Xbox One. Yeah, it's like if your Xbox One controller breaks, but you can go out and buy a Series X controller, and that'll work. So you've got one ready when you do buy a Series X. Sony's like, yeah, if your PS4 controller breaks, you have to buy a PS4 controller. But if you want to play a PS5 controller breaks, you have to buy a PS5 controller. Now, both approaches have their pros and cons, and both are, they're taking this strategy because both companies think that their approach is going to make them, the most amount of money, and that's why they're doing this. They want to make money, but it's certainly the reaction to this, I don't think, could have been more vastly different. I mean, outside of the core diehard Sony fans, the news that Sony have essentially locked down the controller to the PS5 that makes no sense to anybody, especially like when Microsoft are basically going the complete opposite and are showing that, yeah, technological hurdles can be overcome in getting everything working backwards and forwards. So you're not tied effectively to one piece of hardware, which is it absolutely just encapsulates Xbox's approach. And Sony are like, no, we want everything contained in our own little box. We want, PS5 box, PS5 games, PS5 console, PS5 controllers. They are going all in. So you want in, that's what you've got to come to. That's what you've got to come and purchase. And yeah, it's just the lines have been drawn, really. This is the way Sony are going. This is where they're going. This is their strategy. The Microsoft are going down with their strategy. And as I said, just the announcement on the controllers just completely sums up these two companies' approach to this generation of consoles. I'm as I've said previously, I'm an Xbox gamer. I've been one since the very original Xbox, and that hasn't changed in the last 19-20 years. So it's not and so the fact that all my games that I've got on my Xbox One, if I do have to sell my Xbox One in order to be able to afford a Series X, I know I'm not going to lose everything because all my games are going to work. All my digital games, I can literally just re-download them onto my Series X. Boom, I can play them. I'm not going to have to find a spare Xbox One controller. It's like the Series X controller that comes with my Series X is immediately going to work. That's great for somebody like me at the moment. As I said before, my current wage situation, it's like, sweet, okay, cool. It's much more seems to be a much more consumer friendly and much more appealing to me. And yeah, but I don't know which one ultimately will win out. As I said before, hardware sales, Sony will win this, but I think that over the longer term, I think Xbox does have the better strategy. Now, talking about Sony and exclusivity and funneling everybody into them if you want to play with their toys, we come on to Spider-Man and the announcement that Spider-Man is going to be a playable character in the new upcoming Marvel Avengers game, but only for PlayStation players. That did not go down well, as you can probably imagine, because at the moment there is nothing to suggest that this is a timed exclusive. This is a this is a multi-platform game. It's not like cosmetics. It's not like timed exclusive perks, which, Sony, and I think to a lesser extent Microsoft, but Sony certainly have a history of this, like with Destiny and Destiny 2, cosmetics and other things. They get them first, or even they just get them because they're exclusive. But this is an entire playable character, a very popular character, especially with the most recent Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man's appearance in the Avengers movies. And Sony have basically locked him into PlayStation version of the game. Once again, did not go down well. it's because the odd thing about this one though is not the fact that Sony are doing it. It makes complete business sense. As I said, Spider-Man is popular. People are going to want to play Spider-Man. Therefore, if they say you want to play Spider-Man, you gotta buy the PlayStation version of the game. And it's just not a good look for anybody involved, really, because you're actively making other versions of the game less valuable. It's not like you guys, you might get a little thing extra that doesn't change the game. This, you could argue, fundamentally makes the PlayStation version different to the all the other versions. Now, I do recall there was Soul Calibur, I can't remember which one it was, where each platform actually had its own exclusive character. So there is slight precedent. But for me, I think where this differs is that everyone had their own exclusive character. There's in this regard, only one is getting an additional exclusive character. They're getting more content. They're getting timed exclusives on perks, nameplates, and a few other things as well. I mean, the Sony have gone in hard on getting exclusives for this Marvel Avengers game. Now, what's weird is that Sony, whilst they own the movie rights and TV rights to Spider-Man, they don't own the gaming rights. I was looking some stuff up, so I'm reading an article that was written a few weeks ago on a website called App Trigger, and they break down how they see this has worked. But basically, when it came to Marvel's Spider-Man in 2018, they think what happened is Sony went to Marvel and went, hey, we want to make a Marvel game. Marvel wasn't interested in having... sorry, I've skipped a bit here. Let's just go back. Sony went to Marvel saying, hey, we'd like to make us a Marvel game. And at the same time, Sony went to Insomniac Games and went, would you be up for making this game if we can get it made? Marvel apparently weren't interested in having the developer, as we know it was Insomniac, to do a movie or a tie-in. They wanted Insomniac to make their own version of the character. And by the sounds of things, Insomniac wanted to do their own version. They didn't want to be tied into doing a particular version. If they were going to do it, it was going to be their version. So Marvel basically let Insomniac pick which one they wanted to do, and Insomniac chose to go with Spider-Man. Now, that, as I said, is just App Trigger's interpretation of events, and the little bits and pieces I've been able to find, that seems to be the general sort of prevailing prevailing accepted take of that's how that worked. Now, so basically, Sony don't own the rights. They wanted to make a game exclusively for the PlayStation, a Marvel game exclusively for the PlayStation. Went to Marvel, went to Insomniac, and basically after a load of discussions, out came Spider-Man. And it just so happens that Sony, as I said, owned the movie and TV rights for Spider-Man. So how do we go from that to locking Spider-Man into, as an exclusive, into a version of a game that's actually available on multi-platforms? I I I can't help but there's been some back scratching, to put it politely. I'm thinking under the table dealings would probably be more accurate of putting it. I don't want to. I've got to be careful when I say that. I'm not saying that either Marvel or Sony or Crystal Dynamics or anyone involved in the Marvel Avengers game have done anything illegal. I just think that from what looking around, that Spider-Man has not appeared in any of the trailers, in any of the promo material. We haven't even seen what Spider-Man looks, sounds, plays like in this game. Literally all they've done is said, hey, yeah, Spider-Man is coming, and he's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. So here's my theory, for what it's worth. I think basically what happened is Crystal Dynamics, as part of their inevitable collaboration with Marvel on making this game made, I went to them and said, hey, we want Spider-Man. Can we put Spider-Man in this game? Or, put our interpretation of Spider-Man in this game. I think because of the relationship between Marvel and Sony and the way that they've worked together, both in terms of like the films and the MCU, and previously with the Marvel Spider-Man on the PlayStation, I think Marvel went to Sony and went, yeah, we're doing this. We're going to put Spider-Man in this game. And Sony went, what's it going to take to make Spider-Man a console, a PlayStation exclusive? And whatever Marvel said, Sony went, all right, here you go. Or Marvel did it as a favor for something down the line. It's the only way I can see it work the way they've done this. It makes absolutely no sense, because it makes it fundamentally different, and you can argue makes it fundamentally, either the way you want to look at it, either makes the PlayStation better or make all the other versions worse. But it's not a good look for anybody involved. And again, when you look at, just compare that to the moves Microsoft are making. This is very much like Sony saying, yeah, we're just going to throw our weight around and we're going to take our ball. We're going to play with the ball. It's our ball. Sony think it's their ball. They want to dictate the rules. They want to dictate. It's like, no, you will play. You are PS4. You will play here. You are PS5. You will play here. If you're part of. You want Spider-Man. You will have to come into here. And it's like, we're gonna play our game, and we don't care what happens to everyone else. Whereas Xbox are like, you've got an Xbox. How, you don't even have to have an Xbox? You got an Xbox controller? Cool. You can play on PC. You can use our stuff to play on PC. All our stuff's on PC. Hey. We'll even work on mobile devices as well. Again, it's just radically different, and so I don't know which one's better, but at the moment, just purely from a perception point of view, the way that this news is being welcomed, I think Sony may be stumbling into a bit of a reputation nightmare on a PR level, because again, Sony have got priors. Call of Duty, the Spec Ops survival mode, again, for 1 year is a PS4 exclusive. Sony have got a history of locking exclusive content behind their own platform. So no, you want this? Say, look, we're getting this, and we're the only ones that are getting this, or at least for a time, anyone's getting this, shutting everybody else out. again, if it was, I have no issue with Spider-Man as the game being exclusive to PlayStation. It's a bit annoying from my perspective because I would love to have played Spider-Man, but the actual game, I've got no problems with that. But that's fair, in the same way I got no problems with like Gears and Halo and Forza all being Xbox exclusives. Albeit now you can play them on PC. But even like back before Microsoft were doing all this, Halo and Gears and Forza, they were Xbox exclusives. You wanted to play them, you had to own an Xbox. But that's you couldn't play them on any other platform. Nobody else was missing out on any content, fundamental content, for either permanently or for a length of time. Rewards, nameplates, cosmetics. Yeah, I think that for me, maybe that's the line. Whole modes, whole playable characters. Now, I think that is the line that Sony have crossed, and I think many people are just looking around from reading comments on the internet. It's like, yeah, I think Sony are now going. They're doubling down on this. There's a bit of backlash on the Call of Duty. I probably should have researched what the breakdown for Call of Duty Modern Warfare was, but maybe Sony have seen this works. It's like they pretty much own the market at the moment. It's, you could argue, is it technically really going to reset with this new generation? I don't know, but either way, they're like, well, now we can do this. We did this before. We're going to do it again. Marvel Avengers is going to sell loads of copies because it's Marvel Avengers. It's the brand that's going to sell that, and Sony know that. But they're locking everybody out of what I think is going to be a very popular aspect of the game, and that is leaving sour taste in people's mouths more and more, and I could see this coming back to bite them in the ass. They had a month exclusive. Maybe that's a debate for it. Maybe I should make another video. Well, actually, I have a plan. I need to bring it up with somebody. Anyway, because they also had timed exclusivity on the Control, the Foundation DLC for Control. Everyone else got it in July or June. Either way, excuse me. I think it was in June, but PlayStation Plus got a month earlier. And speaking of Control, going back to locking things behind versions, 505 Games, who published Control, have announced that they're doing an Ultimate Edition, which is great. I got no problems with Ultimate Edition. Control is a phenomenal game, and if it came with a whole separate list of achievements, like The Witcher 3 does, between the base game and then the Game of the Year edition that they did, there's literally because 2 separate achievement lists. If Control did that, I would buy it, because Control's an awesome game. However, the problem is they've announced that it's like, yes, upgrades for PS5 and Xbox Series X are coming, but only for those who buy this Ultimate Edition. That's not gone down well either. I'm just wondering whether Microsoft's complete open attitude and people are like, yeah, that sounds really, really cool. Why isn't everybody else doing this? I think whether Microsoft has driven a lot of this. I'm not saying that they're trying to stir up vitriol. Complete opposite. If anyone who has seen and heard Phil Spencer speak will know that he just does not want to do that. He's not interested in doing that. But everyone else is getting like, well, hang on a minute, I can do all this open stuff on Microsoft, and yet, you're locking this here, and I've got to buy the Ultimate Edition again, and if I want to get the upgrades. Now, if 505 wanted a version of Control that was just the next generation version of Control that was only available on PS5 and Xbox Series X, then why not do that? I think I think the backlash to it would have been a lot less, because I doubt they're going to be the only company that are going to be doing that. I know Microsoft are pushing for all developers to have, basically, you release your game on the Xbox. When you buy a Series X, you will get free upgrades for take advantage of the power. A lot of Microsoft's first-party developers have signed up for that. I know CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk have signed up for that, and there are a few others that I'm almost certainly missing. I think 505 are trying to almost have the cake and eat it. They're trying to make more money selling a Ultimate Edition and get the money now by releasing it now, knowing that there's a much larger player base on the current platforms than what there will be at the beginning of the new next generation platforms, and also try and sort of say, hey, but you get free upgrades, make it sound great, where in fact it's like everyone else who's already bought the game is going, hi, what about us? I got to rebuy the game in order to be able to get that upgrade. Again, it's leaving a lot of starter. I really think 505 would have been better. Basically just going, here's a version, ultimate version of Control, comes with all the DLC, it's available on it's going to be available on PS5 and Xbox Series X. And that's it. If you want the upgrades, you have to buy this version. But it's only going to be available on this version anyway if you want them. I think they still would have got some stick, but I think they would have got a bit less, because it would, but again, this seems to be a very, they're trying to be a bit cute with it, and it's, yeah. It's, again, this is a shame, because I love Control, I bought Control because I love Remedy. I don't blame Remedy. I don't think this is Remedy's fault. I think, given what we're hearing about the contract split, where Remedy are actually getting less than half of the net revenue for every version of Control that's sold. So, copies. I'm feeling 505. This may not be out of character for them. So, either way, yeah. What do you guys think about exclusives? How far can exclusives go? How far should exclusives go? Let me know in the comments. But I do have a plan. I need to reach out to somebody about potentially doing something. Either way, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go and upload this. You guys take care. I love you all. Check it out on my next video. And yeah, stay safe.